I'm going to give you guys an anecdote, and I'm going to channel for you while I do it. There was a period of time in my life where I was so distressed about everything. It seemed as though I had problems in all areas of my life: health, money, relationships, family, everything. And it took a long amount of time, and a lot of lessons for me to, and a lot of stubbornness on my end, for me to realize that well-being is natural to us. We resist it. We push it away with our worries, with our anxieties, with our concerns about the future. And that's exactly what I was doing. Every single day, I would have anxiety about what I was going to do for my business, how I was going to be able to pull off certain things, how would I accomplish certain things, and with my health, what would happen with that? What if I'm not healthy? How do I know I'm fully healthy? I have this little inconsistency and this little thing here. How do I fix that? So every single day was a constant stream of worry and anxiety. Now, when building my business, I had to sacrifice a lot. I sacrificed health, relationships, time, energy, money, everything. All of the spheres of my life that were failing, those were the ones that I had sacrificed for my business. And it was all of them. Including my own direction sometimes. Sometimes I sacrificed my own stability, I would feel lost, a lot of the times. And ultimately, again, through a lot of time passing and a lot of lessons learned, a lot of hardship overcome, I had no choice but to overcome it. I learned that well-being is innate to who we are, and we push it away. We resist it with anxieties, with worries, with needing to heal, quote unquote, with going back into our childhood and reliving old pains and traumas, by not having control over our thoughts, not bearing control over our thoughts, and instead allowing for them to take us through hell, because the ride that our thoughts can take us to is just really, really dangerous. I subjected myself to a lot of mind control, a lot of overthinking, a lot of panic attacks, a lot of depressive episodes. My health suffered because of it, because of my mind. And at the same time, I wanted to build something for people that would help them harness their mind. So I put so much time and effort and energy into building this, and it took me years, to build out the framework for my business, my coaching calls, the back end, the courses. I've done so much work, and sometimes even, again, at the expense of sleep or health, all these things. And it's because I quite literally couldn't stop. I was obsessed with wanting to create the perfect offer, wanting to create the perfect framework, the perfect curriculum. And I did. I poured everything I have into my book, into my writings, into my courses, into my videos. And it took a lot of me. It took all of me. So if anyone out there was wondering why I haven't picked up the phone and called them in a while, or texted them, or whatever, it's been a wild ride. And behind the scenes of it all, I was suffering. I wasn't sleeping. Yeah, of course, I would try to balance it out, but for the most part, I really was going through it. I was also having to deal with other things in my life. Like I said, there were other spheres of my life that were failing. My relationship with God, Like everything was eclipsed by this need to create the most perfect business, the most perfect coaching business. And then at the end of it all, I lost my drive too. I lost my true desire. I went so deep into it, and I would compare myself to all these people who had coaching businesses that I was burnt out. I was fried by the end of it. And I decided to just stop. I didn't give up. I would never give up. And I'm still running it. But I realized that for my own sanity and happiness, I needed to honor myself too. So I started to do that. I started to have fun more, dress up more, film more, sing more, and just play, And from all of this, I learned that our natural rhythm, our natural inclination overshadows and overpowers all. Like, you may think that doing things the way other people have done it is the correct way, but in actuality, we know what's right for us. It's led by our soul, it's led by our heart, it's led by love. Love is the one thing that is like the most scarce in our society, because people really want like the perfect relationship and the perfect career and all this stuff, but it has to come from the heart. It can't come from what it looks like on the outside. Because for a long time I got people telling me like, oh, what are you doing, like, why are you posting videos of yourself singing cover songs? Or I remember one time someone saw my Instagram and they saw that I had put musician as the title. And they said, are you a musician? Like, all you do is sing cover songs. And just all these little digs, And it made me realize, like, that's exactly who I am. That's exactly who I am. Like, my soul, me, it's so subtle. It's like not able to be labeled by anything. Musician is just like the closest thing. Actually, anything works, but that's just what I want on my header the most, In truth, I'm nothing, really, is how I feel, and it's the truth too. I don't associate myself with anything. But yeah, so all these little digs happened, and it just made me realize, like, I can pivot anytime I want to pivot, and I am who I want to be at any given moment, and well-being really does shine through. Who we are really does shine through at the end of the day. Like, we can't copy other people's frameworks. We can't sit in anxiety for months and expect good outcomes. Like, we have to allow our natural state, which is well-being, to flow through us. Even depression is us cutting ourselves off from who we are. That's why it feels so bad, because you literally numb yourself away from sensitivity, away from feeling, away from being present with you. When you study the aura of depressed people, you see a lot of gray, because they've cut themselves off from frequency, which is colorful. That's the aura. So you have every single color on the spectrum that shines through. Now, when people are depressed and you read them, you'll see gray in some parts of their aura, or, when there's no circulation of frequency, there's grayness. And, so, it's an entity, and people don't know this, that depression is, it actually morphs into an entity. Same with anxiety. All these things, they take a form that sits upon the emotional body, and it stays there. It's parasitic. That's why we have to make sure to raise our vibration as much as we can. So that's what I learned, Eventually what happened with me is I had to give up. I had to give up the fight against myself. And I had to allow for myself to be happy, I had to make that a priority. What really pushed me towards that was when my physical body, would suffer. That's when I realized, I actually have to be happy. Because I'm just creating chaos for no reason. Our power is so unknown to us that unless we seek to realize it and integrate it within ourselves, both the shadow and light aspects of it, we become unknowingly controlled by it, and our life reflects our inability to control our own power. So we fall prey to negative thoughts that create negative outcomes in our life. No, we can't. We must know who we are. We must understand who we are as pure positive energy, as love itself. We must understand who we are so that we can, understand and not be lost. Because if you're lost, there's no hope. Like what was happening with me. So there will be no hope as long as you continue to stay lost. Finding yourself and understanding your power, that's a choice. You have to make the choice. You have to say, enough is enough. I choose to heal here and now without any external help or therapy or whatever. No, without diving into my past pain. No, I don't need to do all of that and spend time going through all of that. My shadow work can take a day, and I'm healed now. That's what I wish I had known. But I went through everything. I went through all of the hoops and chutes and ladders and pains and regression that comes with exploring your past and exploring pain. I really went deep into it. I went deep into pain. That's why sometimes I say I don't exist, because I did die, a few times, at least egoically. So much so that I gave my life away, There were many, many moments of rock bottom that I became nothing, So now, I think it's okay that I went through all of that, though, because now I don't identify myself with my body or my achievements or anything, which sometimes makes me feel like I'm just timeless or floating in space, and sometimes it is a little bit odd. It's like an odd feeling. And the best way I can explain it would be depersonalization. But I come back, and I think that's why I'm able to channel too. Because I really do channel, Not just when I do videos about it, but even when I sing. When I film dancing videos, I'm not here. That's God working through me. I'm not gonna pretend it was easy. None of it was. It's also a very abnormal journey. It's been a very abnormal life. And quite confusing if you were to analyze it or me from the outside. But I have a lot of stories to tell, and they're all mine. And now I can say those things. I can say mine and I and me and my, and I can mean it because I went through the labyrinth of the subconscious just to realize that I am nothing and that I can create my identity from nothing. So I built it. I built this identity brick by brick, and every idea, every bit of humor, every drop of lightness, every outfit, everything has been tastefully chosen by the highest aspect of myself. And I'm so grateful for that, because a lot of people, they don't get the chance to find themselves. You have to really, really, really be lost, number one. Then number two, you have to really, really, really want to find yourself. And I was both of these things. But a lot of people, they're just lost, and they don't realize it. And they're not even super lost. They're just lost enough to not realize it, and they have an identity. And this identity was built for them by other people. A lot of people don't get the chance to build their own. So I'm lucky that I did. And I'm lucky to be here speaking to you right now. And I'm lucky to have the ability to do everything that I do, even if it sometimes does feel free-flowing and free-falling. Even if my story has been so wild. Even if it hurts sometimes to remember. Even if sometimes I have to hop on social media and look at girls and think they have normal lives. They don't know hardship. They don't know pain like me. I think about these things because I've never actually told my full story, and I will not yet. But it's one for the books. And it's very magical too. But it's far from normal, and sometimes I will look at normal people on social media and I'll be mystified by them, Like, whoa, they really think that they are who they are. Like, they really think that they are their name and their body. And whoa, like, I get intrigued. Like, I'm like, oh, how did they attract all of this? Like, I want to attract some of that too, But then I think about how I don't like crowds and how I don't like to be in super loud spaces, and and then I'm like, no, I like my life. It's very calm and introspective and deep and lovely and loving and happy, usually, most of the time. So I'll leave it here. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, I'm extremely grateful. I love you, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.